Hello. Welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz. I'll be guiding you on this journey. As you can see, the journey has already been started. um, I actually, this is, I think, my sixth time. Am I at six or seven? Honestly, I'm not even sure. Um, but yeah, so I did obviously get your spread out in a prior video that I also accidentally deleted and now I can't find. So this is the journey. But I kind of went through should I repull the spread? Maybe this isn't the message, but that's not the feeling that I'm getting. I do think that part of the energy that I am experiencing is also even just part of this message. So I didn't want to do another one. Um, anyway, before we get into all of this, this is the reading for the 5-1 human design profile, the heretic investigator. If you don't know what your human design profile is, there is a link in the description for you to get your human design body graph. And one of the bits of information specific about your design will be your profile. Now, these messages aren't necessarily meant to be educational. So no matter where you are with human design, if you've never heard of it, if you practice it daily, if you're in the middle of your experiment, if you're a pro, whatever, right? These messages are just supposed to be in addition to, and also because not every 5-1 is a Taurus or a Libra or Sagittarius, whatever, right? So highly recommend checking out your zodiac sign readings. Those are posted. But this is just a different avenue, a different channel to receive a message. So I do try my best to keep human design language at a minimum, just so the message doesn't get lost or confused. And last thing before we get into the actual reading, I would love it. I would absolutely adore you if you would subscribe to my channel. Last time I looked, which was, I don't know, 5-ish days ago or so, I was 5 or 6 people away from getting to 1,000 subscribers, which is such a big milestone for me. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you did. If you have already, thank you so much for being here, for the support. So let's get into this because this feels very personal. And I mean, all of my readings are anyway, right? I really do my best to focus on you, where you're at, the journey that you're on, right? I don't do really relationship readings and all of that. But this really does seem like there's something being figured out here. And if you have been in the midst of your own healing journey, really, 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 really deeply getting to know yourself, then I feel like this message is going to be confirming of that. No matter too, where you're at, even in that journey, whether it's, beginning stages where, you're kind of starting to ask the questions of yourself, what makes me tick? Or if you have been on the journey for a long time, or for some time, right? Okay, so let me also introduce the cards to you so you know what's out here. The first 2 cards are your current energy or what's surrounding you right now. The Queen of Cups came out, clarified by the 5 of Swords. The energy that is leaving or that's no longer serving you is the Messenger of Fire or the Knight of Wands, and the Patience card, which is Temperance. And what is coming in is the Eight of Swords with the Queen of Swords. So we start with the Queen of Cups. And first of all, we have two queens in here. I almost kind of feel like three queens with the Temperance card, but you know, literally we have two cards that have the word queen on them. So queens to me are very individual. It's when we recognize the energy of the suit within ourselves. We learn to work with it. We learn what it is. We learn how to master it, right? Before we can share that with other people. It's like the whole putting your oxygen mask on before helping other people type of thing. So cups have to do with our emotions, heart center, right? It's our relationship with love. How do we give it? How do we receive it, more importantly? Because a lot of us are really good at offering emotional support and kind of being there for other people. But when it comes to accepting that ourselves or even asking for it, it's difficult. So with the Queen of Cups, for one, it's like really making sure that your cup is full first and discovering what it is that fills your cup, right? There's a compassionate aspect. There's giving yourself a lot of grace. There's a self-love and self-care aspect to it, but it goes beyond manicures and massages. I was just having a conversation with a friend about this the other day. Because I think it's just like mainstream where when we hear the words self-care, we kind of automatically go to spa days and brunch or, whatever. But it's deeper than like that's something that you do occasionally and really when you feel like maybe depleted, right? And it is self-care. It definitely, it still counts. It's self-love. It still counts. But it's like day to day, minute to minute. How are you loving yourself through every minute, every second, right? Like, are you moving intuitively? Are you going with your own flow? Are you discovering what your own flow even is? Are you honoring your yes? Are you honoring your no? Right? Are you waiting for the invitation? Are you initiating? Are you taking your time on making big decisions? I'm just kind of touching on like every aspect of every type, but beyond that, outside of that, especially to, like if you're not super duper familiar with your strategy and authority, because that's, the strategy and authority, it is there to help you enter into the correct experiences for you. But life, right? Like sometimes life makes it difficult for us to do that. So, it's like, are you allowing yourself to stay in bed an additional 5 or 10 minutes because you have 5 or 10 minutes to spare? And today you really need that extra 5 or 10 minutes. It's canceling plans if you really don't want to go because it's a form of self-care. I think you get the point. So with the 5 of Swords here, swords have to do with our mind, our thoughts, mindset, belief system. Also, swords are truth and honesty, but like divine truth, right? Like divine honesty, absent of opinions. I also see swords as being the suit of ego because that's generally where we hear our ego is in our minds, and our ego is created by the stories that we attach to circumstances, to feelings, to experiences, right? And it becomes the reasons why we do things and why we don't do things. It's the filter that stimuli goes through and then it kicks out a version of our reality based on whatever filters we have in place from our ego. And fives are transitionary energies. There's usually some sort of tension or conflict that comes with this. There's usually other people involved with this. So, there could just be, I don't know I'm pretty sure I did say this, but I see the Five of Swords as being the card of a battle of wits. I feel like that's deja vu. I know I already said that probably a couple minutes ago, but because it is, right, like, especially in conflict, it's like people really aren't listening to understand, they're listening to respond. So that, then it creates more tension, because then it's like, okay, you're not even hearing me, you're not even understanding me. Now I feel misunderstood, now I feel not seen. And right, like, and it just kind of like snowballs until like somebody inevitably wins or gives up, unless you're both the type to not ever give up. So I mean, there could be other people involved with this, but this feels more to me like different aspects of yourself, different aspects of your ego, different stories in your ego, or different filters in your ego, right? It's like really intuitively going within and like opening those boxes that maybe haven't been opened in a long time. And it's like, what is it that makes me who I am? Like, what are these filters? What are the stories or the beliefs or the quote unquote truths that I've associated with something that creates or spits out this version of reality? Like, are these things true for me still? Because there is some emotional maturity going on here with the Queen of Cups. And this could just be like really kind of being in this cycle of like battling your own demons, but coming at it from a place of compassion and grace. Because, right, like, you realize that, the things that make you who you are, like, they are experiences. They were potential traumas. They were, things that that had such an impact on you that they affected your personality. They affected your temperament. So it's really pouring a lot of love into those things, but having to look at them also. And then we move on to the Knight of Wands and the Temperance card. And this almost kind of feels like, to me, like it feels like being held back. It's almost kind of like you want to go, because both of these are fire cards too, right? This is Temperance is Sagittarius. So it's like, I'm so ready to be past this. I'm so ready to have a different experience. I'm just so ready to choose my own adventure. I'm ready to, right, like, express myself differently, or, whatever. And then, but Temperance is there like, no. First of all, calm down. Second of all, this isn't like anything to actually rush through. I want to read the Temperance card. It says patience dash moderation. This card reminds me that patience will bring me into recognition of an alignment to my purpose. All my needs are met, even though I may not see it in the outer visible world. The angels are looking out for me. Moderation in all things is required right now. And the Messenger of Fire says determination for a new adventure, innovation, independent, creative action, spirited, headstrong. And then it says, I have an unstoppable spirit and can co-create all that I desire. Surrounded by spirit, illuminated by the wisdom that rises up within me, I set forth on a path to innovate. I trust in my vision and act accordingly. remaining true to what I most value and desire, which can manifest in many forms. Yeah. And, and also I think what is so interesting is that it took me 7 tries to even, it was 17 on the timer. But it took me 7 tries to even get this far, because in the other video that I did, I had 6 stop and starts, and I didn't even get past the first 2 cards before I was like, okay, you know what? Time out. I'm gonna take a time out. And I was like, I'm just gonna see if it brings it, if I am brought back to this reading in the same day, which I was, just later in the day. But Temperance does talk about things coming together. It's alchemy, right? It's blending together 2 different energies to make or form something else. And this is in the position of what is leaving. So what this tells me is that if you have been stopping and starting, or if you feel like you have been, and it's like out of your control, right? Where it's like, oh my God, like every time I try to make a move in a specific direction, it's like there's an immediate block wall, or there's like an immediate speed bump or something, and it just kind of like kills the vibe, or it like, you had all this energy like ready to go, and then all of a sudden something happens and it just depletes that energy, right? It's like there was a purpose for that, and it was like, and it is serving your highest good. It really is bringing you closer to what you are most aligned to. It could have just been like your greatest lesson in patience thus far. Actually, and I just opened this book. What section is this? This is like way at the end. Are they explaining how they came up with, I don't know. Maybe this is, okay, I don't know. But this says he needed to learn the lessons of alignment with purpose and moderation in his responses. The message of patience is that Hal, whoever Hal is, needed to own up to ignoring that small inner voice that had been telling him for years that his old friend was up to something and couldn't be trusted. He should put down the phone, forget about the lawyer, just be patient, waiting for the next move to become clear. Interesting. So yeah, this is, let's see. Clearly somebody's getting a reading here. It's like, well, I don't know, whoever Hal is, but that could have been a message in and of itself, though. Like, if you are waiting for the resolution of something, just wait. Just wait. Wait it out. Have a bit more patience. Listen to that inner voice and wait for clarity. And interestingly enough, the next one after that is the 8 of Air. And that says, release from denial, seeing things as they are, clarity. With spirit at my side, encouraging me, I open my eyes to see things as they really are. To be disillusioned is to be free myself from illusions that keep me from the growth and healing I deserve. So I bid goodbye to illusions that have clouded my visions. Honesty gives me strength and courage to face whatever I have to face. And in this one it says, Hal, it was time for him to say no to this dysfunctional friendship and his need to please others by giving them whatever they asked for, even when his gut was telling him not to. Hal had to learn a new way to express love as compassion. We have the Queen of Cups out here. He could be compassionate toward his friend, who clearly had a lot of issues going on and a lot of lawsuits against him. Hal said, another sign about his friend's character that Hal had overlooked over the years. When we are compassionate, we can love someone from a distance without getting too close. Hal decided his best course of action was not to call or talk to his friend again. Compassion doesn't mean letting yourself be taken advantage of. The friendship was over, and his job was to let it go without being angry at himself for the choices he made. We all need to be patient with ourselves and practice self-compassion when we are dealing with our issues. Interesting. Interesting, right? Like how random. How random. Like I never even knew that was like at the back of the guidebook. And then the Queen of Air says setting healthy boundaries, strong self-esteem, calculated and shrewd decisions, clear communication, well organized, a wordsmith. I have clarity of purpose. My intentions are in alignment with my understanding. There's always a strategy in the game called life. Can I let go of false truths and be rigorously honest with myself and others? Hell yeah. This is such a beautiful journey, I feel. Like, I love that these two cards are here at the end so perfectly. I love that this Eight of Swords talks about letting go of denial, like trusting yourself, almost like really looking at like big picture stuff too. And then it's like literally just confirmed by the Queen of Swords. Like both of these cards in traditional tarot, they're not bad by any means. But, you know, the Eight of Swords does usually talk about like a self-inflicted mind prison. They're usually blindfolded and like surrounded by the swords, right? And the Queen of Swords is usually depicted as being kind of cold, rigid sometimes. I never really see her that way. But I and maybe, you know, I mean, I can understand that position too. It's like towing the line of being cold but not being taken advantage of. And if somebody's trying to bring some bullshit in front of you, it's just like, no, I'm no longer accepting that into my life. I don't really see that as being cold, but I can see, you know, how it could be. So like this whole journey, right? It's like really connecting back with yourself and really getting grounded, like in your intuition, really showing yourself compassion, really learning how to love yourself, like radical self-acceptance, right? And like just the battle that we go through with that, because for most of us, for a lot of us, that's not easy. That's not an easy thing to do. And then, you know, having to have patience, like being reminded of being patient with the process. I think too, it's because it can be really fucking uncomfortable. And it's like, however, I can like move myself through this more quicker, like more fast. I feel like the word more needs to come out of those sentences, but whatever. But then like literally almost like being sapped by the energy, because it's just like, no, you need to be here. You need to go through this process so that you can learn what your fire is. You can learn and get really comfortable with what your purpose is, and then coming out like having this clarity of thought, like your belief systems almost changing, the denial, like not that it's necessarily like gone 100%, but it's like, I know who you are now. I know what you look like. I know what thoughts are attached to that. I know how that feels, and I'm not going to let those things continue to hold me back and almost kind of like paralyze or stunt your own growth, because there's a big potential for growth here for you. And with that, I am going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.